Hi everyone, Angus Campbell here, Tuesday the 18th of August 2020. Right, carrying on with putting this lot back together. So just to recap, we found that the cylinder head mating surface wasn't flat, so we've ground that, and we also found that one of the cylinder head studs had been previously helicoiled rather badly, so we've repaired that. And we also found that another stud, both on this side actually, on the right hand side, had stripped. That one had stripped and that one was a bad helicoil, so we repaired both of those. Also an indication that I might have incorrectly torqued the head down previously to 22 foot-pounds instead of 31 to 33, so these are now down to 32. So we're carrying on putting this back together. So in this episode what we're focusing on is I've just put the carbs on there for the moment just to make sure they don't get damaged, but we'll get those buttoned on properly. We'll get the exhaust on. Can't quite get the rocker cover on yet because I haven't got a gasket, and I've got a couple of red ones on the way. But I tell a lie, I have got green ones. I hate green gaskets, they're wrong. So we'll wait for the red ones to arrive. They should be here in a day or two. They're on the way. So anyway, let's plough on. So first things first. I'm gonna button up the carbs and put the slides, etc., back in, as I say, just so they don't get damaged or scratched, and we should be okay with that. I don't think the controlled cables will get in the way of us putting the rocker cover back on, so let's go get those sorted first. Okay, there we are, inlet side all buttoned up. It just takes a bit of time really, because getting on the tightening up properly the nuts on the inside of the carb is important, but at the same time with the carb mountings it's also important not to over tighten these nuts as well on each side so that you don't distort the carb. Again, one of the points I learnt in my youth. Right, next thing is let's get the rockers on. Right, rocker kit all laid out, and the important aspect of this are the spring and thrust washers on either side of the rockers themselves on the spindle. So it's always plain thrust washer, spring washer, rocker, plain thrust washer, then you've got the middle pillar, plain washer, rocker, spring washer, plain thrust washer. So the thrust washers, the spring washers are always on the outside of the rockers, but the spindle mounting pillars are always protected by a plain thrust washer. Right, got it. Okay, so we'll get these inserted now, and the way that I do this so there's not undue strain in trying to get the push rods on with the even with the tappets as loose as far as I can go is I've got the Kickstarter on here so I can turn the motor over slightly, and we can put the push rods in one at a time once we've got the all the rocker spindles and tappets in. Rocker spindles and rockers in. Got it. Okay, right, let's get them on now. Okay, there we are. Everything in, including the push rods. Just got to adjust the tappets now. 10th hour exhaust, 8th hour inlet. And with respect to the push rods on the followers, it's inlet, exhaust, exhaust, inlet, in that order in the row of 4 down the bottom in the tunnel. And I should have you in the stand really to do this, but everything working as normal. So that's good. So right, we'll just adjust the tappets now, and then we'll put the spark plugs in just to check compression, but obviously turning the motor over then there's no clanking or anything like that, so pistons aren't hitting the head, so we're okay. Right, that's the top end all sorted. Put the plugs in, kicked over, got really good compression on each cylinder, and a bit of a different sound to it now, so I'm pleased with it. So we can't do any more top end now until the new gaskets arrive. They should be here tomorrow, or it's tomorrow, Thursday or Friday. That's the 20th or 21st August. So got a bit more time left this evening, so let's get on with the exhaust next up, I think. Now, when we originally built this bike up, purchased some new pipes, and wasn't that happy really with the fitting of them. They weren't too bad, but they weren't quite right. I do have another set, brand new, from allegedly a more reputable dealer stroke manufacturer. So, but what I'm going to do initially, while we're test this and bed this in a bit more, is I'm going to put the same pipes back on. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them cosmetically at all, but I'll show you again once I've got them on what the slight issue it is. We spent a bit of time of it on previous videos, so you can look back and see if you like, but we'll do a quick refresh once I've got them on. Right, getting there. Exhaust went on pretty well actually, and I've just messed about a little bit at the front with spacers just to see if I can get them lined up a bit better, and I think they are. The main thing that gives it away is that you can see the balance pipe isn't quite straight. You see that's over there, and the main balance pipe is over there, so there's an obtuse angle there, unfortunately. There's a little one at the other end too, but what I've done to try and alleviate the position a bit, and you can't see it too well, is put a bit of a washer in between the pipe bracket and the frame bracket. But I haven't got much room to play with really, because this is the original front engine mount bolt and nut, and I haven't really got a full nut on the other end, which isn't ideal. But as I say, I'm going to use these pipes for now, and then once we've confirmed that the engine's okay and settling in well, with a few runs and a few miles under its belt, then I think up in the exhaust stash at the top here, we've got a set of another set of pipes. Right, it's getting late in the evening now. We'll leave it there at that point, and I'll bring you back once we've either got the rocker cover gasket tomorrow, or if not, then we'll tackle the ignition timing and fit the new point stroke backplate, new old stock, which is ready, waiting on the bench. There it is. Fantastic. Right, see you in the morning. Okay, next evening. Gaskets arrived today. Alright, they're not red, but they're not green, so that's good. And already had the new old stock points and points back plate. Look at those beautiful new screws. One thing I realised as well, just preparing this, is that when you take these new out of the box, then the points are adjusted such that how do you explain this? Such that the static terminal is at its lowest point towards the auto advance, which means that the spring-loaded terminal with its arm that contacts the auto advance is also its lowest point. And so if you just put this on without adjusting them, you think that both points are open all the time, widely out. But the more important thing is that the spring-loaded arm is then very close to the terminal where the wire is connected from the coil. So you think that it's too close and it's going to touch all the time, but then you've just got to adjust them out properly. And just so I've adjusted those out halfway so that you can see that the eccentric adjuster is halfway there and halfway, just about halfway there anyway, so it can go a quarter of a turn either side to push the static contact either in or out. Right, so just a word of warning, because when you first put this on without doing that, you just think, oh, the points are wrong, which they're not. Right, let's get over to the bike then, and we'll do the top end first and get that all buttoned up. Right, over to the bike with the parts, the tools, and the mug of tea. Just need to remove the nuts, stroke studs. I only placed them in there really just to put them in a safe position so we didn't lose them. So we'll get those out, and then we'll smear a bit of sealer on either side of the gasket and place that on. Right, studs in, and nice and snug on their threads, and that's so that that's to ensure that when you screw the nuts on the top, that the nuts don't come to the end of their thread if the studs aren't in properly at the bottom, and then you might not get a good seal. And new gasket on, just with a very thin smear of sealer on either side, and then cleaned up the rocker cover, which got the odd scar on the outside, but it's in really good nick actually, and the mating face is perfect. So we'll get that on now. Okay, rocker box on. Went on pretty well. I did have to remove one of the studs though, one of the rear studs, because it was just physically impossible to fit the rocker box without it, because the face for the head steady was fouling on the frame. I did obviously move all the cables etc. out of the way. It was just impossible to do it. But anyway, not a problem. I double nutted the last stud in before I tightened down, so I know that the stud's all the way home in the head, and everything's buttoned up really nicely and torqued up. Right, last thing then is head steady, and the trick here is to put the frame mounting nut and bolt in first loosely, because the rear of the head steady has a slot. So let me just show you that from down here. And there we are. Because it is awkward to get to that hole at the back there, and this slots underneath. You might wonder, well, that was a little bit ropey that, but I've left that as it is because that's in factory paint. Wasn't new old stock, but bought it second hand, so I left it as it. I couldn't bear to paint it. It's pretty good. Right, we'll get that on. 2 bolts at the front into good threads there, and well, set screws at the front I should say, and nut and bolt at the back. Right, all done, heads to the in. Right, let's get the back plate mounted up and connected up, and then we'll be ready for ignition timing again. Right, that's all the new kit on, and the points all gapped up properly in the right position. So I'll just put a bit of oil on the felts, and then we'll get the plug out, and we'll do the timing. And I won't show you this again, but I use the old light technique with the battery on the terminals, and I'll be using the static timing crankcase plug as well, which you'll have seen plenty of times in previous videos. So I'll get on with that now. Okay everyone, next evening, replete with British tea and a slightly different set of tools, because it's timing time again. So static time it with the crank plunger that goes in the front of the crankcase, and we'll use the old battery and indicator light to indicate when just as the points open as we adjust. And just to remind you that as these are the later type points stroke back plate, then there is a slave back plate behind each set of points, so they can be adjusted individually to time up, rather than having to adjust the whole back plate and compromise to a certain extent if the points aren't exactly 180 degrees opposite one another. Right, so we'll get on with that now. Liking the sound of that. Very quiet. Needs a little bit of tuning, but there we go. We'll just let it warm up a little bit, see if there's any leaks developing. Well, I don't know about you, but I quite like the sound of that. Right, she lives again for the second time. So, sounded pretty good to me, and that's without tuning it. The carb idle screw is set to the recommended sort of initial standard of 3/4 turnout. No arcing at the points whatsoever, so really pleased with that. Just need to give the felts a little bit of oil now, and a little tiny bit on the auto advanced cam and in the slot, so that the cam's lubricated a little, but pretty pleased with that. Of course, the proof of the pudding will be in the next road test. I'm not sure whether it's Friday now, Friday the 21st of August, so we've got the weekend coming up. I'm not sure what the weather forecast is like actually, but hopefully there'll be a bit of an opportunity. I think there's going to be quite a bit of wind about, but maybe not rain, so we might be able to get her out. But in the meantime, anyway, next job is one that I love for a bit of therapy, and she needs a bit of a clean up, so we'll do that now, and also just get that points cover on as well. check round her a bit more, and then we're done. So just to go back to the first part of this episode, and that is with respect to helicoiling the barrel. I thought I'd get quite a few negative comments about that, because I know that in the past, certainly in the early days, helicoiling wasn't very reliable, shall we say. But actually I'm pleasantly surprised with everyone's comments, so thanks for your support on that. Most would agree with a few articles you see on the net whereby if you just take care, use the right tools, and insert the helicoils properly, or the V-coils, or time certs, whatever you use, then they should be as strong, if not stronger, than the original thread. So anyway, time will tell. Also, obviously, I'm not sure whether I torqued these down to the correct setting. I can't believe I got it wrong. I did use the torque wrench again after the engine was originally built to torque down the oil pump mounting stud nuts, which are obviously torquing a lot lower. That's when we had the problem with the leak from the inner timing cover, and that was due to the fact that one of the oil pump mounting studs and nuts was proud and fouling on the cover. So I'm hoping I didn't get it wrong originally, but certainly we're torqued up now to 31 foot-pounds. So any other comments? Yeah, agreed. Perhaps in the early days when I was messing around with the timing all that while and finding out about poor quality Lucas parts, etc., then perhaps we should have lifted the head then. But anyway, we've done it now. And also I'm pleased about the fact that we're using genuine new old stock Lucas items in there that really have survived very, very well, and that's because they were still wrapped up in their waxed paper in their original boxes, and they've kept very, very well. So I've got a spare set of those. I'll never use them probably, but just in case at some point I'm going to need to start selling off some of my stash, because the next project, when it comes along, certainly I don't think is going to be a twin. It'll probably be a single. Anyway, enough rambling on. We'll end it there. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Thanks for comments and interest and subscriptions. Always interested, and always will try and reply. And I'll see you all again soon, hopefully for a road test on this and maybe some drive-bys. And also, I'm not far off finished making a bit of a mini documentary on how I came about these three Fury Bandit twins, and why they're all together at the moment in the garage, as this one isn't mine. Right, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for everybody. See you again soon. Cheers, bye.